So hello to the one song challenge. Now, this is actually a challenge for me. As you may know, I'm Tulane, the creator of the one song challenge. And I actually want to bring this to you today to actually say, this is the start of a beautiful journey on your saxophone. The ultimate song which will allow you to improvise, to play across multiple genres, and allow you to really take your saxophone playing to the next level and add your own style and flavor to this song and actually create a signature. Now, what is this song? Now, the song is actually a very old song. It is actually a French nursery rhyme. You know it by its English name, but its French name is called "Oh vous dirigez mama." "Oh vous dirigez mama." Those French speakers among you may correct my pronunciation, but that's what it's called. Now, this was first composed by Mozart himself, and it has had an extremely long and illustrious 300-year career. This is, of course, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now, this is going to be the center of a song which is going to teach you how to improvise, how to learn, how to really ensure that you take a simple tune and truly make it your own. Now, don't get me wrong, this is the ultimate song, no doubt about it. Now, I have actually included a PDF which tells you the history of the song, gives you variations. There's even a playlist here for you to look at YouTube, looking at different variations to convince yourself. But trust me on this. This is the ultimate song. Now, in the one song challenge, you're not even going to be learning the Mozart version because there have been so many versions. You're going to be learning the version which you learned when you were a child. It's also the same tune as Bar, Bar, Black Sheep. So I'm going to play it through once. And what I need you to realize now is that we're going to be playing with this. I'm going to take this to the next level. And for those of you interested in doing so, look below this video to book a call with me for us to discuss how we're going to take this to the next level to make it absolutely powerful, absolutely wonderful. For those of you who think you're much more advanced players, this video is for you, right? Because the biggest gap in saxophone is actually not between the beginner and the non-beginner. The biggest gap is between the intermediate and the advanced player. So in other words, you find people who've been playing the saxophone for 3 or 4 years. These are my kind of people, you know, particularly you doctors out there. And then they seem not to be able to get to that higher level. In other words, you can't improvise. You can't make a song your own. You have problems when it comes to playing with other people. And all of this comes down to an issue of not fully understanding a song. Now, this sounds like a very bold statement, but trust me, after 25 years of experience, over 300 students, I have found this to be true. So I want you to actually set the bar low to begin with. Trust me, get on a call with me, we can escalate this fairly quickly. But the point here is not just to escalate for the sake of escalating, because you are learning a musical instrument. In other words, we don't just go through advanced iteration, you know, in order for you to just show off. This is about you truly owning a song. And this is a song which has been around for a long time, extremely versatile. And I mean extremely versatile. Just getting this one song and mastering it puts you on such a high level, you would not believe it. But here's the point. We must start from somewhere, right? So I'm going to play you the song, right? Pretty much the way I've played it all these years. And it's a very simple version, straightforward, nothing too complex. I'm on the alto saxophone here. I'm playing it in the key of D major for the alto saxophone. Again, we can go into many other differences of different keys, but this is one which works very well and you will know. So in D major. Now that is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in D major. There's a deliberate reason why I've chosen D major for the alto saxophone, right? And you will also play D major in the tenor. One, we're not using the raspberry notes, i.e. your low C, which gives a thundering sound, right? Again, you'll get to that, but that's a little bit more advanced. Secondly, D major fits this tune firmly in that octave, right? Now you'll notice I'm not playing it in the higher octave. That actually adds some sweetness to it, but really the low octave, the low D, the lowest D on your saxophone. Secondly, it's important to start from somewhere. I can't overemphasize this. So I want this to be something which a beginner can play, right? And even an advanced person. The difference is going to be nuance, okay? So the difference is going to be nuance. Secondly, don't worry if that low D sounds flat. That's a common problem on many saxophones. Don't worry if it sounds, a little bit iffy. But here's the challenge, right? You've heard me play it. And I'm going to actually put down what I call my cheat sheet there. My cheat sheet is really telling you what the notes are. So it's D, D, which is a low D, 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 A, B, B, A, G, G, F sharp, E, D, right? That's the first bit, okay? The next bit, which is this one. Is A, G, G, F sharp, E. Okay? So that is your challenge. And your challenge is to play this, upload it in the group on Facebook, upload it to YouTube, wherever you can upload it. I just want you to get through Twinkle Twinkle Little Star once in its simplest iteration, right? Really, what I say by iteration is simplest version, right? So I don't want to confuse my language. I use iteration and version interchangeably. But I want you to actually get to a point where you have uploaded Twinkle Twinkle Little Star publicly, right? And put it in my group, One Song Challenge. That is your challenge. Now, I don't want you to underestimate this challenge. Now, for some of you, it may seem, pardon me whilst I put the saxophone down. For some of you, it may seem that this challenge is way too simple. That's fine, right? That's all right. Because here's the problem we have, particularly when I'm speaking about where we are on the saxophone. Remember, the biggest problem with people on the saxophone is not between the beginners and non-beginners, right? It's not like that. The biggest problem is that people get some experience on the saxophone, but they can't seem to take things to that next level. And the next level is truly feeling comfortable on the horn and making the instrument their own. Now, we are told a whole lot of hooey, right? Or BS, depending how strong you wanted to put, about how to play the saxophone. One of them is that scales are important. You must practice scales. You must practice all these things, and they'll make you a great improviser. Don't get me wrong. That may work, and I say may work because generally speaking, when I meet and I speak to people who come to me for guidance on the saxophone, they can play their scales. Hell, I could play my scales very well, but it didn't make me any greater an improviser. The problem is actually being able to relate simple, cliched, off the cuff things like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and take those things and make them your own. And when I say make them my own, I'm saying put improvisations, put variations in the melody, actually apply what we call the method. And this is what I call it. In other words, the method is all the things you can do with one song to this, to make it your own. Now the problem is, when you jump from being trained classically in saxophone, which actually is very clear, the classical syllabus is clear, to the jazz version, the more popular music version, there is a disconnect. And the disconnect is people hack the classical version. That's the only way to say it. So your teacher will not teach you to read sheet music properly, will not teach you how to hear those intervals properly. So as a result of it, you suddenly enter a world where you just don't have the necessary tools to interpret. That's why you find there are many saxophonists out there who will never take a solo, who cannot play by ear. It's not because playing by ear is particularly difficult, it's because it's never been introduced or taught to them properly. The books which teach them, particularly the most popular one, the Abersold method, have got so much learning you have to go through, it gives people a headache. Yes, it's the most widely used method, but it's only for the most dedicated and hardened individuals. Now, I'm proposing to you a very different approach. I'm simply saying, let's take one song, a song which is universally loved. In other words, it is Mozart who first started to take this thing and make it into his own. He's made it into 12 variations. So it's a classical piece. Haydn then took it further in the second movement of his Surprise Symphony, Symphony number 4. Symphony number 94. So you've got the classic, you've got your poshness in it. This is why it's such a powerful, versatile song. And if you look at the playlist, there is a number of jazz people who have taken Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and made it absolutely beautiful, adding a Dixieland swing to it and the rest. And I'm sure as I dig deeper into the research, and you'll see there are lots of pop musicians who've parodied it and done it. It is actually extremely versatile. So this is why I want to start with this one song. Now, any of you who've been following me may have realized that this has taken a long time. This literally has taken me 13 months to really think about and say, which song should I start you with? So this is not just an off-the-cuff thing. This is something which has taken me this length of time to say, this is the song which you need to learn. Now, what we need to realize is this issue of iteration and gradient. So what I'm saying may be challenging for some of you, may not be challenging for others of you. Where you are is where you are. So the key point is to take what I have played, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and actually record a video of it. Don't worry about it doesn't sound great, right? And put it up onto the One Song Challenge Facebook group, which is going to be there, right? I've actually put a link in. Now, why I'm asking the group in terms of YouTube and the rest? Well, for extra credit, you can put it on your YouTube channel. It's because, look, it's a private group. Ain't no one going to actually see it apart from myself and other group members. And I police the group strongly. I don't allow people to insult each other. I don't allow people to bully each other. So you are in a safe space. And then we're going to start to take this to make it wonderful. Then after wonderful, unique, and something truly your own. And there is a method to this. Now, I want to do this with a song. The problem with scales, and don't get me wrong, I like the idea of scales, is that the relationship between playing a scale and how it works in songs, sonatas and other things, but in this case, we're just taking it of songs because quite frankly, 95% of the saxophone playing that you will do is going to be based around some song. This is jazz, this is pop, this is rock sort of thing, right? Now, for the classical guys outside of you, once again, book a consultation with me. You've got space for actually have a chat with me if that is what you're interested in. But basically, this one song challenge is really about getting into deep from the perspective of popular styles like jazz and the rest of it. Now, this does not mean that classical is not necessarily involved here, because this will help you no matter what genre of saxophone you're playing. But the point I'm making here is that we need to start from one point, one song. Now, going back to the point I'm making, and this may seem to be a long video, but I think it's important for you to fully understand. And one of the things you need to fully understand is that after a period of time, particularly when you've been playing the saxophone, we start to do things automatically, and that is the problem. We are unable to take those little nuances, what I call nano distinctions, and actually relate them to things. For instance, people never automatically relate scales to songs. That doesn't happen automatically. So the assumption of your teachers when they tell you to learn your scales, your majors, your minors, your pentatonics, your blues scales, all these scales, is that somehow by playing them from memory, this automatically, magically, right, relates it to you being able to play songs. I'll give you an example. Playing scales is like saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G every day. So in other words, you wake up in the morning and you say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, W, V, X, Y, and Z. This is the English pronunciation. Of course, you Americans say Z. Now, it's like waking up every morning and simply repeating that 12 times. That's what playing scales literally is. And expecting just because you repeated your alphabet every single day, this somehow will allow you to use full words, full sentences, express with nuance, or maybe a little softer and all of this. So no, it just does not work. This is the biggest fallacy about playing with scales, in that you're simply reciting the alphabet. You're not even reciting words. Words are stuff like intervals, phrases, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Just the first version of it, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, that is a sentence, right? How I wonder what you are is the next bit. Now, notice that that is made up of specific bits of a scale, but we're still using Twinkle. Twinkle's still got a T, a W, I, N, K, L, E, right? But it's one word. So we don't say every time we look at Twinkle, we say, well, you know what, I'm going to go Twinkle. So instead of saying the word twinkle, I go Twinkle. Do I do that? No. I say the word twinkle and I know what it means and I move on. So that's the fundamental problem. And then there is a massive assumption that the more you play scales, the more you drill deeper into them, you will somehow miraculously relate them to actual pieces. This doesn't happen naturally, right? It is counterintuitive. And it's just the truth. This does not happen naturally. So don't feel bad if you're asking yourself, well, I can play my scales well. Or if you have never played a scale, that's wonderful because you will learn it from the beginning. But some of you have been playing your scales, some for decades. Has it made a difference in your improvisation? I don't think so. Chords as well is another thing. People say, well, if I learn about chords and all. No. These are just building blocks. Blending them together is what the one song challenge is. And that's why we're starting with one song. And you'll be amazed. Once you understand what to look for and the structures and all, it's easily applicable to many other songs. And you will start to flow fluently. But before we get to that stage, and this is why this is a longish video, we need to get the fundamentals right. One, learn to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Okay? Secondly, something about my method. My method does not rely on rote learning. I believe rote learning is wonderful, but it's primitive. That's the problem. If I have to do something over and over again, 5 or 6 times, I ain't going to learn it. I'm going to forget it. So my method will actually teach you, particularly this one song challenge thing, right? The method will teach you how to drill deep, not using rote learning. Will there be repetition? Absolutely. But rote learning doesn't help. You've practiced your scales for years. By rote, you know your scales. If someone asks you to play a D major scale, you play it at the drop of a hat. How come your sight reading ain't better? How come you're unable to play songs by ear? It's obvious there's a disconnect there. There is a problem. So what I want to take you through is I want to take you beyond repetition. I want to take you beyond the stories which you've been telling yourself on the saxophone for years. Stories like, well, an hour a day practice. Again, very dangerous because it's not nuanced enough. Or, you know, if I just put the time in, time has got nothing to do with this. If you understand it, right, you will automatically get better. This is about understanding principles, techniques, facts. Some of them may be hacks, but really having an understanding. Once you understand, you automatically get better. It's not about you taking a long time, right, or practicing for years. None of this rubbish. Again, I've got a whole series about this in my 13 big mistakes that saxophonists make, which I've put here. I'll also add the playlist for you to check out as well. And I'll be speaking about this. So I do thank you very much for staying till the end of this video. Make sure to have a look and do the challenge. Absolutely do the challenge. Because the challenge here is for you to actually play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and upload it even once. Because that will start the ball rolling.